Welcome to the woods of western Lake Tahoe, California, where they have some of the biggest pine cones I've seen in a very long time. We have a perfect pairing for this video, which is an episode about this very campground that you can check out on our channel, so highly recommend that one. But today we're going to be going across the way towards the lake in the section known as Ed Zeeberg State Park. But just to tease that you will get to see my camping experience here over the course of 2 nights, including encounters by black bear. Very tenacious black bear that take a lot of doing to scare away. So at this point I'd say let's jump in the car and let's head across the way to the actual park. And that will be the focus of this episode. I'm in a daze of beauty right now, these pine trees and how they're glowing. Let's see if anybody's even manning the post here. I bet not. Like, nobody's been here. I have the fee covered, so I'm covered. Yep, kiosk is not open right now, so I'm just gonna keep on going. That was easy. But I don't know where to start. This is all brand new to me. I've never been here before. Okay, so the Lakeside Interpretive Trail. We should get our first really clear views, I would think, here of the Lake Tahoe, which you can see through the break in the trees here. We're really close. It says the accessible part of the trail is 0.42 miles. So I wonder if there's an inaccessible part too. I very quickly see that the lake is going to open up here. The view is going to open up, I should say. And I feel a breeze already, a cool Lake Tahoe breeze. I instantly regret not bringing a warmer apparel here, but behold Lake Tahoe and paddle boats. I can actually see aqua blue coloration from this vantage point. I don't know how the camera's picking it up, but there's a kayaker out there. It's a little choppy. It is afternoon. I don't know if that's wake or wind or both. There is a breeze coming from this direction at me. So, what is that, southwest? But you could see the sun poking through this crystal clear water of Lake Tahoe. I know that being out here for just a couple nights is not nearly enough to cover. I don't even think I can cover this park experience alone in just an afternoon, but we're gonna try. But this is all about peace and serenity on a different level, a different kind of paradise. I get the Lake Tahoe thing in this moment. Seems like a lot of the action is upstream of us. Well, I don't know what really is upstream in this situation. There's not. To the left, this way, north. But I'm gonna poke my nose around this way to see what sights we see over here. Does the trail continue? And it doesn't appear to, but there is a structure over here I was curious about. Is it historic or just some kind of modern thing they use today? Looks like maybe it's modern. That's probably why you start with the visitor center first, is to learn about stuff, but we'll try to keep that in the back of my memory. The Boatman's Cottage, is it a historic structure or not? It is all boarded up though and locked up, so It also seems to have old school components like the wooden shingles like that, and that chimney even looks kind of antiquated to me for some reason. And it's like on a log. Alright, I guess this is Bigfoot Crossing. Goon. Alright. Not sure what that means, but I'll keep an eye out. I'm back on the paved, accessible portion of this walk. This is not meant for driving, I don't think, here. And I hear boating happening out there. And there's a boathouse here, and there are like the little tracks leading out of it, and there's an interpretive sign. So maybe this is a historic boathouse. So I assume this houses a boat called Mercury. You can hop on down here. For something that was a power boat from the 1920s. I wonder, is Mercury still in this house here? It's gonna be really hard to see with the reflections, but it actually looks like that is a historic boat from the 1920s. There's the little cockpit, I guess, whatever you call that, the little area. It just housed 2 people, I think, or 1, 2 it looks like. Let's see if I can get the Mercury part for you. This is hard. Yeah, you can kind of see it, can't you? Anyway, that's pretty badass. 1920s powerboat. I didn't know they had such things in the 20s like that. And those tracks, I assume, are where said boat launched from, like down those tracks into the water. Now, that's almost like Batman level stuff. Okay, so I put this camera aside for a while and did a sweep with my camera that I take still photos and B-roll with. Went into some of the exhibits, and I now know what the essence of the state park is, and I get it now. This might be one of the most magical places I visited. My soul yearns to be here. It's hard to describe. It's almost as if it's from a second life. Now you're gonna get a double feature here. You're gonna see how the good people had it around the turn of the century, the 1800s going into the 1900s, is there's a mansion called Pine Lodge, built by a successful businessman, Mr. Hellman. One of the most magical houses I've ever seen. And the grounds with other historic structures, including at the base of a hill, an original pioneer cabin from the 1870s by one of the first pioneers that lived in the area, coincidentally next to all of this, even though these people used the cabin to house guests, it sounds like. If you visit here at Ed Z. Bird Sugar Pine Point State Park, this is where I started my adventure, specifically in the Nature Center. You can go in either door. There's a gift shop and information. I asked a few questions, got some answers to curiosities, and the only thing I haven't figured out yet is what the heck is the point of this. It looks like a water tower to me, but a lot of these buildings are historic and they have signs on them saying what it is. I think I was exactly right, a water tank tower. It's gigantic, it looks like a castle tower, to be honest. It's a very interesting building and it's closed now, but I got a lot of footage. Really what you're getting in there is a lot of the nature. You'll see a lot of animals on display that were not killed intentionally. They were found dead, and I guess they're saying it's a humane thing, but you can definitely see the age of the building here in that old wood shingle roof. So this sign talks about how, you know, this area catered to the San Francisco elite around the turn of the century, the 1800s going into the 1900s. And this residence, this mansion we're gonna see called Pine Lodge, was built by self-made businessman Isaiah S.W. Hellman. He hired well-known San Francisco architects Bliss, I think there's a state park named after D.L. Bliss, and Fable to build this summer retreat. So there are some rich people out here living life right, as you're gonna see. So basically what we're seeing is this historic property from the turn of the century, people living as large as you could, I think, back then, in one of the most beautiful settings I've ever seen in my life, Lake Tahoe. So that's what this is, and then there's even more, so just wait. I at least knew the mansion was here, and they do give tours, but we missed them today. But We peeked in some windows with my other camera, so I got a couple rooms on film. We'll talk about that when we go up to the porch, but yeah, all these are historic structures. This is, I think, a butler's residence, I think. The butler's cabin. Obviously, this is a mansion, as you're gonna see, so it would have had to have, especially in the early 1900s, a butler. And then over here is another, I think another guest or maid's cabin. Yeah, that's the maid's cabin. I wonder if there was only one maid. You'd think there would need to be more. Because let's face it, look at the size of this place. It is a mansion. On my first walk around, I just sat here and gawked at this and, you know, kind of studied it with my camera. And I love the windows. I don't know what that term is, but it's almost like a stained glass you'll see in the front, colored glass in that crisscrossing pattern. And it's just, I don't know. I don't think this is called Victorian style. I don't know what the architectural style is, but this is just the back side of the house. So this is Pine Lodge, up close and personal. Even the other facade we haven't seen is almost as good as the front facade, but there's a giant porch there, and look at the view they had. And they're old, I don't know if that's an original pier. I haven't gone down there yet. That's what I left for the end. But that's Lake Tahoe, right down below, and this is their front yard. How epic and beautiful is this? I mean, I don't know what it is. There's just a good energy here for me. It's energizing. It feels right. I don't know why. I'm not saying I was in the elite in a past life. I was probably a peasant. I'm trying to get my camera up, lens close to the window to show you the interior of this beautiful lodge. One of my favorite views was in here, and like looking in the foyer with that staircase that winds up. It's just magnificent and delightful. All I know is I'm in love with the Hellman-Ehrman estate. One thing I didn't confirm is Ehrman, I assume that's the wife of Mr. Hellman, and she just didn't take his name? I'm not sure. Now let's put on our smoking jackets for a moment and stand here and admire that view. But we're not done yet. And this was someone's reality at one time, a family, their summer home. Before, like, modern times where Tahoe is just flooded with people during the summer. They would be out here with a small staff probably. They probably host San Francisco elite here and sophisticated parties, and I'm saving the lake for dessert for last, because that's like the highlight here, but I still want to show this last facade here for you. I like this facade because it has the same stone structure on this side, symmetrical from the other. Really is a very symmetrical design if you think about it. And then this offshoot over here with its own little back porch, maybe for guests. Who knows? So I'm gonna show you all the secrets so you know. I may have found the most photographic or most photogenic spot in all of Tahoe back here. And it's my next tip for you. I was floored. I could not believe it with my own eyes, and I've already got around to photos and video with my other camera from here. But wait till you see this. So this is a historic ice house, it looks like right here. But keep that in mind, because that's what you're looking for. Because kind of at the end of the property maybe, I don't know if this is the end of the park per se, but the end of the historic area, where that cabin is one feature we want to check out for sure, is this little pond back here. Now I made my way down to said pond, and the wind was not blowing, as it's not now really either too much. And you see the reflective pool that this is, and kind of the curvature of that, with Lake Tahoe full on in the background. Now you tell me, I may not be good at taking the pictures, but that sure looks like a photographic moment that Bob Ross would be proud of. I know I said I wouldn't say that anymore, but I didn't say it in the way the other one says it, so it's starting to become an inside joke maybe for us. I wonder if you guys are starting to see though why I'm looking at this place as almost like an artistic masterpiece on so many different levels. The history, And there's even more history to come that you haven't seen yet. This place has just got it. But this I thought was really cool. This is a cabin from the 1870s. A General Phipps is his name. Not really well liked by the local Indians, it sounds like, the Washoe. But he built 2 cabins here. He built one in the 1860s, and then this is his second. But a real pioneer and one of the first of his kind to inhabit this area. I also peeked in there with my other camera and we got a couple shots. So you could see it. They have plastic covering some of the furniture. I presume it's all original stuff in there. Looks really well taken care of. Not sure if you get to tour that or not, but it does have that old log cabin look. One way I've learned you know it's old is you look for these notch marks in the logs. Think of how they cut this stuff back in the day. They would have had to do it by hand, not like probably with saws. So it'd be like cut, 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 cut. Like that. Now I showed you early on a different boathouse that had a 1920s powerboat in it. That was freaking cool. Here's another one. I think it's the North Boathouse, so maybe a facsimile or something close to that. But even these have old boats and things on display in them. Sounds like these were here for the Ermines and the Hellmans. They had 2 boats, the Comet and the Cherokee, and they would then keep them in here during the off-season months, but they were cruise yachts of the time. And every once in a while you just see a boat come through, and it says to be careful, the waters are cold, but you can see people, they're doing it, and they're surviving with no problems. Inside of this building is a fishing boat built by Ernest Henry Pauman, 1878 to, he lived in 1970, so he was a railroad machinist, the Bliss Company. But an old fishing boat, a very old looking fishing boat that's hard to see with a glare. So these rather large pine trees that look like redwoods, or even some mistake them for sequoia, are known as incense cedars, as I learned inside of the visitor center, and they're supposed to emit a beautiful aroma, it says. Let's go see about that. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know I'm an aficionado of Ponderosa pines and their beautiful vanilla butterscotch smells. Let's see if this can compete. I mean, these are big trees, some of the biggest I've seen probably since I've seen a sequoia, to be honest with you. It's a thicken. Let's see how it smells. See if we can smell it. I smell nothing. But that's okay, because like I said, I'm sure it's a seasonal flavor. So hopefully you can see now my fascination with this place. You got early pioneer history on the premises. You have turn of the century, 1800s into the 1900s history, the elites history of the area, beautiful architecture and nature's architecture, Lake Tahoe. The star of the show, and really the reason why anybody would want to be out here probably on grounds like this. But yeah, looking out here at Lake Tahoe, this is absolutely the star of the show. And I think the last thing I have to do here is we need to walk out on that pier to capture it all in. Clearly the grounds are very well kept here. And just look at the lighting in here. Up at the top of the hill is Pine Lodge, if you couldn't already tell. And now we're walking down to this pier. We'll find out soon. Is this historic? Is it more modern? The interpretive sign will tell the way. Let's walk on out here together, shall we? And look at that lit up shoreline. How the sun just peeks in through the tops of the trees. And we're gonna look back at that residence up on the hill again and imagine people in the period dress of the time. The men in their smoking jackets maybe at the top. The smell of cigar smoke, probably not out here because the breeze is strong. And then the emerald green, clear, almost aqua blue waters. That's almost like an aqua green, like a bluish tinge to it than just emerald green, isn't it? There's a good shot right there of what I'm seeing. I don't know how deep this water is here. It looks kind of deep. You can actually see rocks on the bottom, but I bet you that's deeper than one might think. I'm gonna guess anywhere from 7 to 10 feet. Anybody know for sure? I've heard sometimes it's misleading in this lake, thinking it's shallower than it actually is sometimes. It's just one of those beautiful moments, one of those perfect times, a perfect afternoon, a perfect day, like the Lou Reed song. You know the time was coming, and you know the end of the pier is the appropriate place to part ways on this adventure. I have to go make more videos for you so we can keep releasing week after week. You know we'll have another one for you next week though, and you bet it'll be good. Say goodbye to Pine Lodge and Ed Zeeberg, Sugar Pine Point, the artistic experience. See you next time.